them, but then they were able to clean it up at the end. And it's one of those evolutions where a couple of years ago, if G2 had tried to pull that on a team, especially a middle of the table team, they would have just not known what to do. They would have kept 5 people at the Drake, they would have made sure they secured it, and then their Nexus would have been gone by the time they got there. It's a huge evolution, not only of BDS, but also of the LEC as a whole, I think, to see things like that from our middle of the table teams.
I do also like, I think when you have a composition like that for G2 against what BDS had drafted, it's incredibly hard to pull off. Like, as you say, trying to get access to key carries. Like, if you have that composition against like an MF and these kind of things, it's like, it becomes so much easier to isolate them. So I think it's on G2 now to see if they can try and bounce back. We're seeing a Rumble, Jace already to at least look at the top side for Irrelevant, trying to minimize him a little bit, and Respect to 113's in Italy has been given a lot this split as well.
No real surprises from those G2 bans. Azir, Varus, and Kalista taken away by BDS. No real surprises there either. The Ezreal picked up as first pick for Hans Summer. Viktor, again, kind of the third mage. Talia, Azir, Viktor is kind of what we're seeing mostly in the mid lane right now. I guess a bit of Ahri as well.
I think it's also, once the Talia and Azir are gone, there's very little that can match him in the lane specifically when it comes to range, so he just becomes top dog. And Xin Zhao, very nice pick as well. So already we're kind of opening up for a lot of zone control coming through with BDS and trying to play for these early skirmishes, but we'll have to see if what G2 want to try and respond with. I imagine it's going to be like, honestly, you could go for the Sejuani here if you really want to for SkewMond in the jungle and just say, hey, we're going to go full tank.
Yeah, Sejuani is good. Usually want melees with her. You can, of course, pick the Yone as well if you want a Yone top, but with Hwei locked in, does have that range that we're talking about into the Viktor, can push out the waves with the Molten Fissure relatively easily. G2 are likely looking towards their jungle here. The risk, of course, is BDS don't have to pick an AD carry on 3, and they could pick a top laner instead. It is Alistar locked in for G2, for Labrov, his second time on the pick this split.
Rakan going to be on the answer for the opposite side for Parus, so I
just go jungle bans if you're BDS.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think you take Ivern off just to try and make sure that you're going to be safe there. Although, to be honest, when you've got Ezreal away, Ivern not exactly high priority, but like just trying to minimize things that are these non-committal engages, because Xin wants something that goes in, right? Yeah.
Sejuani is a good ban because of the Glacial Prison. Ivern is where they're going to go as well. Daisy is non-committal, and as you say,
same with the Q, yeah.
It doesn't team up too well with the Ezreal in the way, but still does give them a lot of power. So Ivern will be the first ban from BDS. G2 can look towards banning out some AD carries, but how far down the pool are you really going to be able to force ice?
Yeah, I suppose the Ivern ban is probably because they're a bit more nervous of something like the Gwen or the Invested coming through for BrokenBlade in that top side, and then you've got a target that can really get full value out of those shields. But yeah, I think Ivern, Sejuani, probably another one. MF gone on the opposite side, probably the Xayah just to be annoying for Xayah Rakan, right? But you've still got things like Ashe that I think can do relatively well here, so you're going to be fine with the...
I used to have Corki if you really
Jhin
as well. I think Corki's... Yeah, Jhin, as you say, could be happy enough with that. Pantheon, the second ban from BDS, so they are really pinching that jungle pool a little bit. Of course, SkewMond can still go towards things like the Zyra if he wants. He can't play Mundo, Maokai, Ivern, Pantheon, or Xin, which is all he's played so far. So we'll have to play something different at least for Spring Split.
I do think you want some sort of AD champion in the jungle though to try and match this, and maybe Vi, but it hasn't been great. But like, yeah, I mean, you kind of have pushing lanes, so maybe you could. Or well, actually, you don't lose. You lose at a mid push. So, honestly, I think Vi may actually be the answer here for SkewMond. I know it hasn't done well, but I do like Vi and Hwei as a combo because the Severin ult on top of the Vi ult makes things significantly easier to try and get that extra damage off. And you've even got the Ezreal over the top. So SkewMond probably going for Vi, and that's why I wouldn't go for Zeri in this one, because it just opens up so well for a Vi pick now.
I mean, there is the Zeri pick first of the split for LEC, never mind just for Ice. Does team up well with the Rakan, so much mobility there. Obviously, you can surf over the walls and then Rakan can follow you. Have a longish range if you need it with the Electro Shock Laser, whatever. The Zappy Extendo Beam, as Atlas calls it.
Yes.
G2, as you say, likely looking towards that Vi, and they are going to lock that one in. So a great single target lockdown. Obviously, Alistar can do AoE as well, but if you cease and desist into Severing Bolt, into Alistar Headbutt Pulverite, like someone is CCing
No? Okay, Renekton.
Safe as houses, easy blind in the top lane. BDS could look to Jax, is something we often see into the Renekton, and something Irrelevant is very comfortable on. He could even go towards the Ambassador himself if he wants to play a game of slice and dice and dodge around.
Sion also isn't the worst pick here, and it is still a very strong pick. And then, yeah, I think Jax is the other option. Ornn, okay, I was going to say, because I think you're playing more for team fights with this, but Ornn, Sion, I think are fine. Like, you lose gracefully as the Ornn and just try and play for those big team fights.
And it's like, who has the damage?
Yeah.
Like, Hwei's damage is very front-loaded. Obviously, Spiraling Despair into more Severing Bolts can and get that execute damage down in the end. Ezreal is... He does a lot of damage, but he doesn't often do a lot of tank damage. Right? You can go Cerildas for your Last Whisper if you want. But often he's not a Jinx. He's not a Tristana. He's not a Zeri. He's not really going to work his way.
He's no Vayne. You know.
He is no Vayne. Is it in vain for G2? That's the question. Is this their first series loss of the split? Because so far, BDS have looked very solid. A lot of it off Nuke's early game specifically. Obviously, his team did camp that mid lane a little bit, but Nuke got first blood all on his lonesome. G2 will have to buck up their ideas and buck the trend of losing in this series if they're going to take us to game 3.
Yeah, I think the G2's composition is very much a press the go button onto the Zeri, trying murder, right? But I think that's why I do really like the fact that you've gone for the Ornn, because you've kind of got that answer for that heads-up engage that G2 are trying to play for. Basically, this comes down to, do Caps and Hans Sama have enough damage in just the Severing Bolt and the ulti with that buy dash to try and kill off Ice? If that is the case, trading jungler for AD carry is fantastic, but we'll have to see.
Did you see that sign?
I didn't.
It said 1 kill equals 1 treat for my cats.
Oh.
Those cats are going to be chonks.
Or, I was gonna say, if it doesn't work, we just go on a murder spree and now all the cats get treats.
Yes. We have admitted that to the public. So,
hypothetically.
I'm just saying, if my cats want treats...
Oh, sorry, I got this. Allegedly.
Allegedly. There we go. There we go. In-game.
In-game.
If my cats want treats, there's no stopping them. Mika will rip the jeans off your legs.
I've noticed.
Yeah. Yes. I always feel really bad for Dagda. So when it comes out to play Magic, like Mika loves to climb on my shoulders, so I have inside shirts and outside shirts, but Dagda hasn't got the same memo so far. 113 is going to jump to Labrov here and then flashes away from the Pulverize. Does have to burn his summoner, but there was always the risk that Labrov hits the Pulverize, then Caps can get some CC, SkewMond can come in as well. And in the end, 113 escapes just using that single summoner.
It's nice though, because for SkewMond, it kind of opens up him a little bit of ease in the early stages. Like, having that flash advantage means that if you end up in a lot of these skirmishes, you can always turn on to 113 and you always have that ability to try and outplay in that moment. So I think 113 being down the flash is pretty big for G2 if they can play around it.
Also mutes a little bit of his early game, right? His inability to flash around and get closer to you for that audacious charge. And Summer here, hovering the top side of the lane, kind of knows that, well, Parus and Ice can just be waiting in here. Parus and Ice should be able to get a little bit of push early on here. Rakan isn't ranged, but he's kind of ranged. And so the ability to keep Alistar just a little bit out of your auto range can be good. But with Hans Summer getting to the wave first, he is actually able to clear it just that little bit quicker.
But that's the thing, you've actually got a spell also as Hans Sama, whereas Zeri kind of just has the pew-pew, so it means it's a little bit more difficult. But we'll have to see his 2 should just be hitting the second. BDS.
G2 are going to get it. G2 are going to get it. Labrov can walk over to one of these minions if he wants and secure it. Ice can't get in range for that single minion. There's Labrov goes in, headbutt pulverize. Ice takes half his health, and G2 just walk away.
Yeah, nicely done. I think Ice, Parus kind of needed to respect that a little bit more, but means that they're now at half HP, and it does. I'm curious if it does may change things now for SkewMond as to exactly where he wants to try and put pressure. Cap's already taken a lot of damage from Nuke, but this time we're talking about there's very little that can match Viktor with his ear and Talia gone in these early stages with his range, and Cap's kind of taking the brunt of the damage in these early stages.
You can see the damage going down onto him. He's going to pop that shield. Make sure it doesn't eat too much. Good dodge on the fear there. The Grim Visage coming out from Caps. He backs away. The wave relatively even in mid lane, with it being a cannon wave, Caps can back and get back here in time. Parus and Ice still being pushed out towards this bottom side. We did see BrokenBlade semi-proxying towards top. It's not really a proxy if you don't catch the wave, but he kind of just walked past the tower. Guess he was checking Krugs to see exactly where 113 was, because they didn't have vision on that jungler through the early game.
Yeah, I think 113 does need to go up towards top side though. You've got push in bot lane. And you're going to have SkewMond is able to contest you on the scuttle here as well. Unless they feel like they can just play off of Nuke's aggression in the mid lane, but Caps has just TP'd back in, so yeah, I think 1-1-3 going to have to abandon our bottom side for a little bit.
It's only going to be the Scuttle Crab. It's not the end of the world. The risk becomes, do Ice and Parus get dived, right? There's only a cleanse on Ice. Parus does have the heal. Hansama dodging forward there for the damage from the Arcane Shift, but no dive materializing, whereas BrokenBlade has placed a ward on the Krugs. 1-1-3 is behind him, but it looks like he's just going to go back to base as well.
Yeah, both junglers going for the first reset, so I think as G2, you're like, hey, look, our bot lane's winning, top lane's winning. I'm just going to sit mid and make sure that this is fine. As long as we can get out of the laning phase, we can try and play for this team fight combo, which is honestly very similar to the idea of what they were playing in the last game, which is pick one person and make their life miserable. But at least this time around, the carries that they have on BDS's side are much more short range, are way less mobile, so it should be a bit of an easier time for them to try and get on towards like a Viktor or a Zeri this game.
Nuke is making Caps' life a hard time in the mid lane though. Gets to use his TP back into lane. Caps has had to teleport back in and then recall as well. Won't lose too much because it is a cannon wave. He's got an amplifying tome and boots, but Nuke has a blasting one. So a lot more damage from the Viktor, and he's constantly landing those arcane rays, Hextech rays, that's what they're called now. Used to be Chaos rays, but ever since Viktor became this arcane thing,
yeah,
to change.
And then Draco started copyrighting right for chaos, Bring Me Chaos as well.
Oh, true, really yeah. The internal strife of copyrights. I hear that actually the world song last year was going to be I Want the LEC Back, but we'd already taken the name.
Yeah,
so.
It is tough when that happens.
BrokenBlade though with good push up towards this top side, taking a lot of plates so far. 2 plates at the 5-minute mark. Should be okay. Second plate goes down, pops the Dominus, and Irrelevant now realizing, well, don't have 6 yet. Can I really trade into this? He's fine-ish. Oh, he's not.
He's not fine.
He's fine, man. Better than Flash. He's okay. What are you talking about? Why are you worried?
Sorry about that. Just like, I got a little dicey for BrokenBlade, but it's also the fact that Irrelevant now has hit the level 6, so he actually has a little bit more pressure in this lane when BrokenBlade returns, but we'll have to see as BDS.
Ooh. Flash away from 1-1-3. Labrov has to flash the grand entrance. SkewMond was coming around the corner. 1-1-3's flash back up after having to burn it during that level 1.
So again, it's kind of G2 just playing for, hey, we're already getting pushed in these waves, and let's just keep ourselves safe. So SkewMond reading the play well, moving down onto this bottom side to keep his bot lane safe. As I think it does become very difficult to play into this as you start to take over to level 6. As a little bit of trading, but not too much on the top side.
Yeah, Irrelevant went for the Bramble Vest first to get that healing reduction on BrokenBlade, but it doesn't give him too much real straight-up health in this lane, so he's a little squishier than he would like to be. Importantly, BDS did manage to get the Dragon. The Cloud Drake, their first objective. You could see SkewMond going towards it, looking for it, but wasn't able to get it. His Caps, is that enough damage?
The shield is there, but was getting dicey. Some in area as well. Popping, a little tough, but Nuke is very much controlling this mid lane, and it's now opening up for 1-1-3 to contest the Void Grubs. Even if he can steal one away, he's going to be pretty happy.
Nuke is having an absolute field day in mid game so far, in mid lane so far through this series. There's about a 300 gold lead just in isolation. Parus and 1-1-3 coming around the corner now. We'll spot Labrov on that control ward, and looks like they're going to be able to get 2. They didn't have the pressure in mid for G2, so they have to back away. BDS will get 2 grubs.
Caps' TP was just seconds away from coming back up in the mid lane, so he stuck around for the final wave. So now we can go for the reset and TP back in, but it meant that they just didn't have him available for the play. A Nuke had shift across, very low on mana, but even just a little bit could have helped out in the play. So G2 giving that up, and it's now Nuke's pressure bleeding over into objectives.
Yeah. G2 trying to save Caps' TP here. BDS realize that. Parus comes in, helps clear out the wave. Labrov has to try and catch it, but won't be able to. Irrelevant not able to get the knock up there on BrokenBlade. Does have the brittle stacked up through the Bellows Breath, but BrokenBlade doesn't let him get close enough to get that empowered auto attack down. Another Demolish proc available to BrokenBlade. Irrelevant gets himself a little bit more health with a cloth armor and a ruby crystal. That's where the health's coming from. The cloth armor indicatively only gives armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is how it works.
It's in the name.
Although it is cloth. Like, you know, how much does it actually give you? But 1-1-3 topside here.
Port of the Forge God. BrokenBlade uses the Dominus, doesn't have the flash, will walk away. Okay.
So, yeah,
Change of ultimates.
Sure, I mean, it gives Irrelevant the reset that he needs, because low on mana, low on health, he kind of needs to get back at some stage. But not having that ult's a bit sad now. Parus takes a loving headbutt from Labrov and backs away.
Like, Labrov went in, and you can see SkewMond trying to close the gap with the Vault Breaker. He does have 6, so he's got the cease and desist, but they decided not to go on Parus, maybe because they saw Nuke coming around the corner. They will try and take away this blue buff. 113's on his way across. Labrov's going to find Parus, who's fleeing at the moment from the Grim Visage. SkewMond starting to close the gap, has to flash away from the grand entrance. 113 and Nuke collapsing in. Electroshock Laser coming out. SkewMond the first target. Another Vault Breaker won't save him from the Arcane Storm. BDS continue to collapse, continue to show up G2.
Yeah, I thought there was just going to be more trades of spells, but Parus sidesteps the ultimate. But we had like both ultimates traded in top, then there was both flashes traded, and I thought maybe, just maybe, G2 can get out, but it's SkewMond who ends up getting ticked down by Nuke's ult in the mid lane, and that'll accelerate him now towards that early Rod of Ages, which is crucial if you can get that. You stack it up so quickly, you get towards those 10, but also the fact that like you can get that early level up oftentimes means that you're in a good spot for looking at like level 11 and getting another tick in your second grade of your ultimate.
Well, have another look at this, because Labrov does go quite deep. Parus is like, I'll just go back towards bot lane, but it feels like G2 are trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, you don't really have control of a huge amount of areas. Nuke able to wander over to keep this in a good spot. And 113 with this ult, so it means that Caps and Hansama are just absolutely useless in this sort of scenario. And again, we're kind of saying this combo that G2 have drafted is so crucial on. We pick a core carry that we can jump on with the Vault Breaker, use the True Shot Barrage, has the Severing Bolt come down, but Caps is nowhere near enough damage to try and help out at the moment, especially now that he's been put behind. And Hansama was under so much pressure, he couldn't even get the ultimate off to help out.
That's the thing, they never use the cease and desist, so no one's actually truly locked down after that headbutt pulverized. Rod of Ages at 10 minutes for Nuke. That is exceptionally rapid. He'll be stacking that up immediately, so he's in such a strong position and having such a good series overall. G2 do have a gold lead though, most of that, in fact, all of that pretty much for BrokenBlade on the top side, who has finished his Eclipse on Renekton. He is balanced out by the mid lane lead for Nuke, about 750 apiece there. BDS looking for their second Drake of the game, and G2 unable to respond. Importantly though, usually you see this as a trade for grubs, like the first Drake, the enemy team will get 3 grubs, the second Drake usually a little bit closer on timings because of the different respawn times, but BDS also got 2 of the first grubs. As we see the dominance used here by BrokenBlade, Court of the Forge God coming out as well. BrokenBlade flashes early and will escape. SkewMond now looking for perhaps a dive as Caps begins to collapse. Recall channeled by Irrelevant. SkewMond should be the one to tank this. Wait for the Bellows Breath. Wait for the knock-up. SkewMond tanks, and there's the kill. G2 on the board. Nuke coming in from the side, flashes the wall though, and SkewMond is going to fall again. The Arcane Storm into the tower shot. Importantly as well, BDS keep hold of the top tier 1. That would have fallen very quickly afterwards. 113 now going to start up the grubs. And BDS have had rule of the map so far, at least in terms of neutrals.
Good roams from Nuke as well to cover the plays on those side lanes, making sure that you can't just get away from that as G2. You get to pick up the wave as well. The tower won't fall, and now it's going to be 5 grubs going over to BDS as well. So again, it's kind of a lot of the pressure for BDS has stemmed from Nuke just having such good control of the mid and being able to help out where he's needed.
That is in such a strong position, 2-0 now on that Viktor. Caps did manage to get a plate in the mid lane and picked up a kill of his own, so he's evened out that gold discrepancy a little bit. I would have liked to see Irrelevant immediately TP mid when he respawned and catch the wave that Caps was pushing in, because both he and Nuke were walking out at the same time, but Caps was able to get an extra wave in. That's, you know, it's a plate and 6 minions worth of gold and XP lost. Yes, you would have had to use Irrelevant's TP, which then puts things on a little bit off kilter, but trying to deny more of the gold being lost off the map is really important, because even though BDS have had this really strong early game, they are almost 1,000 gold behind.
I think they're going to try and just get that with the tower on the top side, as you're saying, but I don't know if they're in a position. G2 defending well, and yeah, it's in a rough spot, as it just feels like you don't have quite enough through Zeri to get control over mid to lean to either of these sides, and BrokenBlade has just been doing phenomenally by himself.
He's had a whale of a time against Irrelevant, who has lost gracefully, but has definitely lost. Yeah. 700 gold behind right now. Full completed item as 113 put out just a little bit. SkewMond As that cease and desist will go for 1-1-3. There's the Crescent Guard quickness coming out from Parus, but he's knocked up before he can even charm anyone. The trample from Labrov for another stun. G2 find 2, and now Nuke is in for a world of hurt. Labrov's on the chase. Caps pulls him back with grasping more. There's the knocker follow-up into the spiraling despair. G2 come to life and find 3 on the top side.
G2 having control over mid was so important there. Ice couldn't get to the fight, and immediately SkewMond pulls the trigger. They get the play on towards the jungler, and they just continually follow up for more and more kills.
And this is the G2 that we were looking for in Game 1, that we expected to see in Game 1. 14 minutes in, they are in a huge lead. On average, they have a 1.4k gold lead at the 14 minutes mark. They pick up 6 plates, and then across their team, they are 5 CS ahead per lane. This is what G2 do so well. Even though BDS have had the run of the early game and Nuke has got really big, G2 are still 3k ahead at the 14-minute mark.
Yeah, and this is not including the last game,
course,
but it is insane to see, you know, how well G2 are able to continuously find these moments to get back into it. And like against Rogue, it was, hey, we don't have good lane matchups. Let's actually just swap our bot lane around the map so we end up in a decent spot. When they have a good lane assignment, like an Ashe that outranges you in the bot lane, they would just punish you over and over again through bot side, pick up all these dragons, snowball into a good position. Oftentimes it's not off a huge amount of kills, it's plays like this where, yes, you get a kill, but it's getting towers and getting plates.
One of the Forge God coming out from Irrelevant as he tries to survive. Tower is going to fall. G2, are you on the back foot? Are you on the front foot? Grasping more doesn't land. Hansama having to jump away from 1-1-3, who pops the Crescent Guard, and in the end, G2 escape pretty much unscathed. A couple of health bars a little lower than they'd want it to be, but they managed to take the tower. They get the TP out of Irrelevant and out of Nuke.
That's all you wanted. As G2 is like, you don't need anything more. You get 2 big summoner spells out from BDS. The tower goes down. Now you come back onto the map. BrokenBlade cannot be contested by Irrelevant. He just gets to do whatever he wants in the solo lane, so he'll push in somewhere, either top or bot, and then just collapse on mid. Now you've got this numbers advantage and this go button from SkewMond that if Ice is the one trying to defend that tower, he just dies.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Has that static shiv complete, but not strong enough to really defend. Caps chasing Irrelevant here. Irrelevant's only got armor so far, and so has to flash away from the spiraling despair. This matchup for G2 very Caps favored because of the Bramble Vest and the Sunfire cape purchases from Irrelevant so far.
Yeah, at least for BDS, having Nuke against BrokenBlade makes it a little bit more difficult for BrokenBlade to be the one that gets drawn in towards mid, but it does make it very easy for Caps to kind of play as that 4th man towards mid lane as well, which is just as threatening. Also going to be able to get the Dragon off the back of this, so BDS now in a position where they want to try and contest topside, but BrokenBlade is going to shove in that top wave, and you've still got 3 members of G2 that are going to be in a position to always fight for it.
Hansama able to be so safe on this Ezreal as well. Can shadow to either side of the mid lane depending on whose defense he prefers, whether it's Caps or Labrov. It's still Nuke matching up to BrokenBlade on the top side.
But it's Nuke consistently having to move into mid to try and cover for that dive play before it happens. And now BrokenBlade has the push, so G2 playing off.
You see Parus trying to dodge away. Half HP just from BB. Is a very deadly Crocodilian as the Rift Orb will be secured for G2. Likely to use this to crack that mid-tier 1. Open up the map for themselves a little bit more. And
you can see where like the problem exists at the moment. It's like this is about as far as you can play if you're Viktor. This is kind of as far as you can play as Ornn. So you have both of these routes that you can use through the jungle to move in towards mid. And at the moment you're trying to cut this off as BDS in this position, but it doesn't really set you up in a good spot because you're always having someone that can move in towards this mid lane. And it's only a point of contention while G2 are still in the waves. As soon as you get this push for BB in the top side, here, look at the shift. He's just going to move. Oh, he's going to reset, but you move over towards this mid lane, and then suddenly Ice has to play so far back, and you've got multiple members of BDS now grouping up on mid in case that threat happens.
Yeah, and it's also why you have to see these these superficial wards in your own jungle from BDS, because you need to track if BB does leave the top lane, where's he going? Is he coming across here to try and collapse on us? They don't have much vision on the bottom side, which is why 3 of them were hovering towards that bottom side for a while. But as soon as Caps sees, I don't see Ice, I don't see Parus, I don't see Irrelevant on the map, I'm just going to back out until I start seeing people. So you have this kind of ebb and flow of bot lane is pushed in, Caps goes missing, top lane is pushed in, BrokenBlade goes missing, and BrokenBlade right now with this control ward, Nuke is not that high on mana. BrokenBlade's going to slice forward, Nuke puts down the gravity well, but BrokenBlade can slice through it, still gets stunned up. The Dominus ticking on Nuke here. With the Siphon power, he will have enough shielding to survive, but now Nuke can't defend the next wave here unless he walks all the way back to base and back out. Thankfully for him, the wave is quite far pushed in.
Yeah, the wave is very far away, and it's just a little unfortunate for BB that he got caught out by the edge of the gravity well. If he'd managed to get out of that, that was a very dead Viktor, but that's kind of where we're saying, like, the fact that BrokenBlade has gotten so many of these turret plates in the early stages, he is an absolute monster now on the side. And again, just nobody can contest them. Vision now starting to go dark on this top side of the map for BDS. Means a bit of a field day for G2 as they can move wherever they want to.
I'm wondering when G2 will decide to invest the Rift Herald in mid. It's likely to be off this wave because you can see BrokenBlade has actually worked his way all the way down towards the Razor Beaks. Caps is still in bot. Rift Herald charging in. I don't think it takes that entire play, but Hans Summer maybe just needs an auto attack on it. It does, in fact. Must have been just on the edge of the damage threshold there.
But again, it's BDS being drawn mid, and then you're losing a wave on top. So Nuke is now falling behind experience, falling behind in gold. Caps now pushing in the bot wave, and G2 get the shortcut through the jungle to bot lane. So BDS, they don't lose the tower, but again, it's lose the wave. No one's picking up this gold.
They do lose a lot of damage on the tower, and Nuke invests the TP to defend as well. And Summer has kept the wave pushed in the mid lane, so BDS now have to go and answer that. The blue buff, a prize for G2 of controlling this side of the map. Labrov was looking for someone taking an easy path through the jungle, but you're just so starved of options now as BDS, and this is something that G2 have done really well in Spring so far. Importantly, like, we have only seen 3 series of G2, so it's a very small sample size. Yeah. They played 7 games in total, not including this series, and they do still have some really tough opposition to go. They've got Fnatic, they've got Carmine Corp still left to play, playing 5 series over the next 3 weeks, so as much as we say this is what we'd love to see from G2 so far, we don't have enough tape to say it's what they do consistently yet.
Yeah, and I do agree. It's just that these are things at least last year that we saw quite a bit from them. And now we're starting to see it come through in this split as well. I think that was kind of the big talking point for G2, was kind of getting that team cohesion, everyone on the same page.
Getting SkewMond and Labrov on the page that everyone else was on last year.
Exactly, and that's what we're starting to see here. And I think that's kind of the big talking point for G2, is that you're seeing that communication, you're seeing them working well together. Now, there's still some whoopsies in the early game, like Caps getting caught out a couple of times in the last game, but it's kind of now starting to gel for G2.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Just, it's so easy when you have such long breaks sometimes between seeing some of the teams playing to be like, this is how this team plays, because we saw them do it for 3 series so far. G2 continue to impress when they get into this sort of position. BDS have impressed us in game 1, of course, with their ability to scale up and then take the game away from G2. And they do still have that option here. Zeri scales well, Viktor scales really well, Ornn gives the ornaments out like it's Christmas and gets you in a good position. Hans Summer charmed up here as the Call of Portugal's coming out, but Labrov with a good knockback will stop Irrelevant from getting that off as quickly as he'd like. 1-1-3 now the target. He's feared up with a Grim Visage, and with BrokenBlade TPing in. The True Shot Barrage coming out doesn't quite clip it. BrokenBlade's going to fall 1-for-1. Top lane and jungle dead so far. Spiraling Despair, not enough to kill off Parus. He jumps away from the final severing bolt, and in the end it will be a 1-for-1 exchange. Caps caught out a little bit as Nuke starts to step into a bit of a choke. SkewMond coming in to defend his mid lane. Drake is up, but Nuke willing to step forward. That Rod of Ages making him very tanky.
Yeah, it's just the fact you have Irrelevant in front of you as well, being able to take a ton of space. SkewMond now start up the Dragon, no 1-1-3, but BDS, I think you just let this Dragon reset, try and buy time for 1-1-3 to get here.
Well, I was debating whether they collapse on SkewMond really quick because his Vault Breaker was cancelled by the Dragon rising from the ground, but you do get a quicker reset on that, so he was able to get out in time. 1-1-3 back up and on the map at the tier 2 in the mid lane right now, sprinting here as quickly as he can get here, and will be here in time. Only BrokenBlade is back and alive, but it looks like G2 have given up the ghost on fighting over this Drake. It will be sole point for BDS.
Yeah, again, you're kind of seeing that, hey, look, we can at least get the kill onto 1-1-3, but you do have to get onto the core carries, Nuke and Ice. If they don't fall, there's always going to be enough DPS to follow through the fight, and especially when Irrelevant is as tanky as he is, but 1-1-3, not having support here.
Oh, hits the wind become lightning without knowing BrokenBlade was in the pit right there. The rest of BDS are going to collapse and help 1-1-3 secure this Drake. You can see after BrokenBlade put the control ward in the pit, he was thinking about it the whole time. G2 forcing BDS out of the river, but not getting much more. Do, you know, ruin the tempo with BDS a little.
But that's all you want is G2, because there's an Rakan on the top side of the map, and I wasn't sure if they wanted to immediately try and run up towards that. You can even see Nuke not going for the reset immediately, because he wanted to make sure that he was on the map in case G2 were going to run up there, but it looks like it will just be a case of pushing at the waves instead.
Yeah, they will just get those waves crashing in. BrokenBlade does for the bot lane what Caps is doing for the top side of the map. It does give G2 an opportunity to place a little bit of superficial vision in towards this BDS jungle. Parus is going to come across and try and clear that out himself, but with Caps waiting in the tri-bush, Parus on his lonesome can't control that bush well enough to clear out the G2 vision.
Yeah, I think
you don't just start Alistar. There's no point. You just wait.
Yeah.
You just delay.
I think the only reason I could see it is because Ice's build hasn't really come online yet, right? Like Static, Runins, and then you're kind of waiting for the last Whisper. You still kind of want the IE afterwards as well to really pop off, but...
Parus steps forward. Labrov looking for the flash pulverize. Can't land it in time. BDS able to retreat, and G2 down a summoner spell.
Yeah, and that will immediately dampen then any sort of aggression from G2. Like having that flash engage from Labrov is a big follow-up for SkewMond, especially when you look at the amount of flashes that are up on BDS's side. But, oh, hang on, Nuke.
He's using the oracles to see if there's someone in the bush, and then he uses the Hextech Ray, and he spots them. Something BDS have done really well across the series is being a little bit more patient, not just blindly face-checking bushes, instead waiting, seeing who they can see on the map. Irrelevant's going to show on bot wave right now. TP, in fact, as he begins to show BDS. This is a 5-man stack in top.
I think that might have been a panic TP. I think they thought with Caps then getting that play into Parus that suddenly SkewMond was going to come in as well, because there was no reason. You can see it here. There's like nothing that BDS want. I think they just thought, oh crap, Parus is getting caught, all hands on deck.
Well, unfortunately for them, there were no hands needed on the deck.
No.
None required right there as the game slows down again. In the last game, it was 13 kills at 33 minutes. Here we have 8 in 25. G2 do still have a 6,000 gold lead, a lot of that acquired between about the 10 and 20 minute mark overall. They are just playing it slowly, being patient with clearing out vision, making sure that BDS don't really know what's going on in the fog of war. Now with Baron up though, starting at Artican becomes an even greater risk, because if you fail the fight at Artican with all your resistances reduced, you're giving away an Artican and a Baron. Next Drake in 2 minutes time. I wouldn't actually be surprised if G2 see if BDS go for Soul and just forgo it entirely and say, okay, we'll go Baron Artican or Artican Baron, right? Because Chem Soul, it's a good soul, but it's not the best soul. You know, it's one of those rubber ones that after a few years of wear starts to peel off the bottom of your shoe. You have to go to a cobbler to get it fixed.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think it's still dangerous when you still have like an Ornn on the opposite side that then gets it, and it's like, we're still going to struggle to kill him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's arguments on both sides. I still see value in a Chem Soul regardless.
I mean, there's definitely value in it. Yeah. I can agree with that, but I think there's an argument to say, is Chem Soul more valuable than Artican Baron?
That is true, yeah.
But I think BDS would also think, do they think Chem Soul is less valuable than Artican Baron? Because we can play around it. Caps here, sliding his way away. Hwei with 11 abilities. So
I do like how Caps is playing this though. Like he's playing as if he has support, which then makes BDS go, oh, he must, but he doesn't. They're here.
Looking for Nuke, but there's no follow-up. No one to chase in as Parus is coming across and Ice has killed Labrov. Like, Labrov went really deep for that, and the damage just wasn't there.
No, and now Caps is trying to push in on this top side, but Irrelevant's on the way. He does have the ults available. Caps needs to very quickly skedaddle. Looks like he will be able to do just that. But yeah, that is not exactly the play you want, as Dragon is just about to come up, and you want to be trying to play for a cross map here for G2.
I mean, you see the idea. It's like, oh, well, they're probably answering Caps towards the top side, so I can quickly jump onto Nuke and we can burst him. Ice was next to him, but Renekton and Hwei were just nowhere near close enough to actually collapse. Now Caps is TPing down towards the bottom side. They're going to look for this tier 2. If they can push through this bot side, they get control over this blue side jungle for BDS, and they're playing for this soul point. They're playing to deny BDS soul. TP comes out from Nuke, who is almost at his Rabadons, picks up an elixir of sorcery as well. We'll pop that as he comes out of the teleport. Nuke steps forward, Hextech Ray on Hans Summer. G2 do have first move in the river right now. BDS trying to wrestle their way in. 113 goes in, there's the double knockup call to the Forge God as well. And already SkewMond's down and Caps will follow suit. BDS just blow up G2. The True Shot Barrage coming out as the Chemtech Drake has been begun by BDS. BrokenBlade looking for the flank, but do you really have the damage here? Hans Summer and BB on half HP? I think not. BDS will get the soul. They ping the Baron. There's an Atakan there for them. It's a smorgasbord for BDS.
There's pulling the trigger, and then there's BDS just launching themselves at G2.
That trigger's on an automatic, man.
I was gonna say, and then they just throw the gun afterwards as well. They just went all out, and G2 were not ready. Baron now up and available, and there's no hope G2 can contest this.
I mean, the trigger finger to just see SkewMond and be like, he's dead.
Yes.
Beautiful from BDS. After in the last game we were talking about how their team fighting hasn't been as good this spring. That was sublime to see. They get the Nash as well. On someone trying to poke out, BDS might say, okay, we don't actually need Atakan right here. We'll take our Baron buffs and we'll retreat. True Shot Barrage does clip 2 though. And BDS will have to back away slower, which gives G2 the opportunity to take the Atakan. Because if BDS had got back with the empowered recalls, maybe they could have been back out here in time to delay G2 on this. So good True Shot Barrage, good chase from Hans Summer to get the smallest prize they could.
Yeah, I think though you're pretty happy with this. But look, 113 immediately pops up. Then you get the follow-up of BrokenBlade and then Caps getting caught.
113 actually stacking the Q3 on a ward.
Yeah, it was
so he
great.
can immediately jump in, get that Q3. The follow-up is perfect from BDS.
And it was also the fact that you saw where Labrov and Hans Summer position, they were trying to regroup with the team. So BDS just finding that moment of perfection to go, hey, we can immediately jump on them, and there is no follow-up from 2 members of G2 off the back of it. And sure, it's Atakan for G2, but you don't really get to use it in the manner that you would like to here.
You have 1 grub.
Yeah.
You have a 1 Chemtech Soul. Yes, you get some experience and some adaptive force from the petals, but it's not going to be anything too monumental. BDS grouping up as 4 here. Irrelevant's going to answer BrokenBlade towards the side. G2 back away. BDS will take their first tower of the game. The gold lead's still in G2's favor, but if BDS use this Baron buff well, they can begin to explode it in theirs. Now Irrelevant, knocked up by SkewMond. BrokenBlade looking for the damage. Call of the Fortress coming out as well. They've already taken half his health, and it's a good knockback from SkewMond to stop the train coming back the other way. Tickets, please. SkewMond's the conductor.
Yeah, BDS don't really have the push they want in mid, so this should be, I think, the tier 2 tower going down. I think there's a wave underneath. No, it's not. So actually, never mind. They're gonna have to wait first. But still, nice pick and gives G2 a little bit more back on the map. And that Red Bull Baron power play starting to drift away. Nuke will get bot lane turn, it looks like, but not a huge play.
Oh, sorry, I was dodging the True Shot Barrage. Mistake, because Nuke will get the tier 1 in the bot lane. Do you not see that?
Right.
Hans Summer just ulted like halfway through his own jungle. Maybe, actually, it could have been for Vision. It could have been Vision on red buff, yeah. Give him that. It looked into his hell, I'll be honest.
I'm not gonna lie, most of my focus ends up on the mini-map at like 80% of the game.
Understandable. So. I think it was for Vision on red. We'll give him his due there. Yeah. He did spot out that his red was still up. And
I saw the ults happening and my brain just went, that's to clear the wave. And then I just looked at the minimap and I was like,
his own wave, which is like, oh. In the end, wouldn't have been able to save the tower anyway. Nuke was there with a Baron empowered wave. It's going to expire in 10 seconds though, and you can see actually lost gold off that Baron if you count in the initial 1,500 you get for taking it. About 800 gold lost for BDS. They do still get it, and they do still get 600 gold, but if you want to get into the complex mathematics of why that wasn't the best Baron power play in the world, well, take 1,500 and then take 600 and see which number's smaller.
That is complex mathematics.
It is complex. Look, yesterday, Hysterics wrote 4 + 3 = 7 on the screen, so I'm just trying to elevate it a little bit.
We're adding bigger numbers.
BrokenBlade not being collapsed on here, but realizes BDS are on this side of the map. There's a wave pushing in towards top tier 1. I wonder what they're trying to do. And the answer is, well, they're trying to take more towers for themselves. Elder up in 1 minute 50, Baron up in 2.5.
Yeah, I think this game is getting to a point, though, where G2 just can't really do the things they want to do. And you're looking at Irrelevant getting absolutely huge at this stage. Nuke has got 3 items completed. Ice has got 4 items completed. Like, this backline for BDS is incredibly threatening, and your tools to get access and have that kind of one-shot potential has gone away from you. So this is where it just gets very, very difficult for G2, and why they're kind of playing this hit and run style, like push away in with BrokenBlade, try and then find a little bit of space on the map to look for a pick. But if this doesn't work and BDS can wait for Baron in mid's time and force a team fight, I think that's where BDS can close out this game.
I just want to say huge credit to BDS.
Yeah, massive.
Right? Like, they've lost to Carmine Corp, MKOI, Team Heretics, only beaten Rogue and SK so far. And G2 were in the driver's seat in this game. They had the control of the mid game that we've seen them have so far in Spring. They had good wave states, they had good positioning, and BDS have just been able to hold the line for long enough. They've now scaled up and they're winning out on fight.
But it's exactly what you said, Medic. It's patience. That BDS could get leads. BDS could play well in the early game, but when it got to team fights, they'd lose the plot and just go all out and hope that it worked out. And that's where they started to fall apart. These 2 games have been very slow, much more methodical. And when they have gone all out, it's as a team, as a unit, everyone on the same page. And now it's G2 that they need to try and fight back. Yes, they've got control over the pit now, or the Dragon area, which is great, but
it doesn't matter too much. Like, BDS pinged this cannon wave and said, this is the wave we want to play on. You'll see them walk up with it. The Elder is up in 13 seconds, so they do have a small window. They know G2 can't burst it in that time. Nuke went to answer BrokenBlade on the top side, is now walking his way back through mid. 3 minions going to be lost to the tower. I don't think G2 give a damn about that. BrokenBlade still pushing on a side, and this seems to be the G2 playbook when they're starting to fall.
Oh my god!
Charm. This is the BDS playbook. Summer dashes away, but he's shut down. Labrov goes in and lands a 3-man knocker, but there's no follow-up from the rest of G2. BDS, it's deja vu. I've seen this one before. They win another fight in the river. BrokenBlade is going to be able to get the top inhibitor, but can SkewMond steal it? The jungle is still alive for G2 as BDS look to catch him out. Caps and SkewMond doing everything they can here. Irrelevant's gone back to base. The inhib's down. Parus is going to mark SkewMond. Stick on that buy. Spot him out the whole time as Ice jumps over to Caps. He takes the blast cone to safety. And the Elder secured for BDS. The Baron also in their eyes.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I think BDS can move over to. BDS, they want to try and take the fight. 17 seconds until Hans Sama. Can they find somebody here? Parus doesn't have that flash to try and look for the engage here. It already used it in that previous encounter. So BDS now on to the Baron. No AD carry for G2.
The thing is, unless, if you're G2, unless you got a pick as they were walking in, you can't fight now. It's Elder Dragon. It's a 4-item AD carry. It's almost a 4-item mid laner as well. BDS, they get the Fighter Elder, they get the Baron as well.
But this was incredible for BDS. Again, 1-1-3, jumping on towards a carry. The immediate follow-up is not from Irrelevant last time, it was Parus this time. And they're able to pick off him. Then it's just Caps running for the hills with SkewMond. They know this fight's already over without BrokenBlade there.
It's also the ability to recognize in the moment from Irrelevant. My Call of the Forge God does not need to hit Ezreal. I can actually disengage the rest of the fight as Labrov looks for the engage and catch out Caps and SkewMond on that backline.
But this was never the iteration of BDS that I thought would beat G2 in a best-of series.
Oh, God.
All of the previous years, it felt like BDS were a stronger team. They had better teamfight setups. They had a better understanding of how they wanted to try and play League of Legends. But now, it's these guys that may, for the first time, take a series off of G2. Now, it is still not a closed game. It is not a finished series, but this is an incredible performance from BDS.
It really is. And they have Elder for the next minute. They've got 2 minutes on the Baron. Can they do more with this than they did with the last? Something G2 have done really well in this game and just throughout Spring is get waves in tricky positions for their opponents. And they're doing that here as well. Caps pushes out through top, teleports away. BrokenBlade is now pushing in through bots. So BDS know they're actually on a little bit of a timer here. You can push through this wave, but BrokenBlade's off the map. He can now be with the team, and then you're in a 5v4, and if your disengage isn't perfect, you're going to die before Irrelevant can even get there.
Yeah, and it's also they're doing a good job of clearing out any sort of vision that might be behind them as well, because the classic G2 play is TP BrokenBlade in behind you and see what we can make work, but BDS being very cognizant of that and making sure there isn't angles of attack for G2.
TP from Irrelevant. BDS want to play on this wave, it feels. Next wave is coming in. The Baron expires in 1 minute and 10. Call of the Ford God used. The Elder expiring in 2 seconds. Parus going in with the quickness. Look at the damage on Hunsummer. He doesn't die somehow to the ticks. The Elder must have just expired, but the inhibitor's down. And now Labrov is going to follow suit. BDS find another. They get the inhibitor. No wave in mid, no wave in bot, though. They may just have to back away 50 seconds before the Baron expires.
I cannot believe Hunsummer didn't end up dropping there. I was assured that he was going to go down, but now Nuke needs to be backing away with the rest of the team. Severing Bolt after Severing Bolt, kind of chipping away his health bar as he goes. BrokenBlade trying to chase them out. Ice looking to push in mid as G2 funneling BDS in here.
Nuke does have the teleport. There's also a honey fruit there for him. He's not going to pick that up. Resets happening from BDS. So, after the Baron, after the Elder, BDS now have the gold lead. 2.2, not too consequential. But they have opened up the top side of the map. They can play towards the bottom side of the map, and we still have 2.5 minutes before those game ended, in inverted commas, buffs come back up. 2.5 minutes on the Elder and 3 minutes before the Baron.
I think crucially though, having super creeps pushing into the super creeps that G2 has relieves a lot of pressure for BDS in the map, and actually they may just immediately turn into BrokenBlade, who's gone too far.
He has his flash. Is he in too deep? Is he trying to keep a rush of blood in his head instead of going under? Slices away. Now Irrelevant has the flank. Brittle proc into the knocker. BrokenBlade holding his flash. The Gravity Well is going to get the stun down. He slices forward, heals a bunch with the Coal of the Meek. Now can flash to the ground. Parus going in with the quickness as 113 continues to chase. Meanwhile, G2 are pushing through bot and through mid. BDS don't have a wave here. And G2 have a window to try and take some more away from BDS. The inhibitor tower in the mid lane is going to fall as Caps opens up on it, but 113 now has the flank. Hunsummer jumping forward. The inhibitor tower doesn't quite go down with 113 around the corner. G2 have to be careful, watch their retreat. They will manage to escape for now.
But you do have that slow push now in the top side. Super creeps have worn off, so BDS have a pushing top side. And now with BB off the map for a little bit, they can actually look to try and play through, get that low mid lane tower. I thought they would send someone bot because there is a wave that's about to crash, but I think BDS kind of hitting, at times, panic stations in this game. But you can kind of see the pings now where they're like, is someone going to go?
I mean, Nuke is the obvious candidate because he has the teleport, whereas Irrelevant does not. Nuke is actually currently pushing in top wave. I think this is to try and get it to sync with the mid-wave crash, but wasn't able to do it quickly enough, so Caps is there to catch it. They don't really need those waves to be synced, though. G2 don't have the numbers, don't have the wave clear to stop the push for the mid-tier 2. Elder Drake up, Dagda in 45 seconds' time.
Yeah, and I think this is where it is going to be game defining this time around. You've got full items basically across the across ice at this stage, so very, very strong in this fight. Even the Zhonya's Hourglass for that potential combo that G2 can try and go for. Same when you look at Nuke. This is where for G2, trying to find that backline assassination becomes so difficult.
Important differences between the last two fights around Dragons. 113 does not have flash. He has been the primary engage with the follow-up from Parus and Irrelevant.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, pretty absurd, but he has been the one jumping in. He doesn't have flash this time. Steps forward, does have that wind, becomes lightning. Cap's unable to get more damage onto Irrelevant. Did hit him with the grasping more. Elder up, wave in the top lane, a mile away from really being a problem for G2. Irrelevant and 113 getting poked out just a little bit. BDS don't really have the same poke. True Shot Barrage coming out. The Mystic Shots from Hunsummer continue to find their marks. 113 going back, looking to heal up a little bit in his jungle, but can't really find a camp to heal up from. SkewMond going for that flank, was spotted on a ward. BDS should know the G2 jungler is around here. BrokenBlade, the one who has the mid lane prio. Labrov, the one who's caught out. Hunsummer able to jump away. Labrov goes in with a headbutt, pulverize, and knocks back Nuke. He pops the stopwatch. Spiraling Spare coming out as well as Labrov has fallen low. Jump back in by SkewMond. Hunsummer has been untouched so far, but so has Ice. Labrov finally gets onto Ice. So far it's a 2 for 2 as Hunsummer has to flash away and get to the blast cone. No waves really in difficult spots so far. There's a mid wave, and G2 could play for it for the inhibitor. Super minions pushing towards the top side of the map. G2 should be able to get this inhib, but the question is, do they risk it with BDS collapsing?
That's such a huge wave in top side for BDS as well, and G2 know it, so they get the inhibitor and they will end up backing away, but what a fight, because everyone turns on towards Labrov here in BDS, but that really isn't the target, and at the end of it, it's Labrov who actually ends up getting nuke, flashing forward, gets the headbutt, and with this stopwatch, he does buy some time, but he has the flash, but he ends up getting stunned as soon as he comes out by BrokenBlade, so doesn't get the flash away, and Hans Sama's out of free hit. Labrov gets on towards Ice, which then keeps him out of control for a little bit, and Hans Sama able to just get away on the back end. 2 carries still up and available, but yeah, Nuke stepping that little bit too far forward, and I think he knows it himself.
Yeah, would have wanted to flash in response. The Elder started though immediately by BDS, and they might be able to burst it down before G2 can even respond. SkewMond's going towards the top side. G2 are playing for the Baron. Off the tempo, somehow they weren't able to get out towards the Elder in time. Hans Sama is starting up the Baron right now. 113, True Shot Barrage coming out. That's just going to help 113 get this lower quicker. The Baron down to 10,000. G2 should be able to secure this. Irrelevant's coming in with the Call of the Forge God though, and Caps is having to back off. The Baron taken by G2, but BDS are making a beeline down the mid lane as they have a wave to support. BrokenBlade, the only one here to defend, has no flash. Has Baroned up minions, and Super's pushing in as well, but this inhibitor will go down. Inhibitor in the top lane has respawned in the meantime as BDS crack into the base once again of G2. G2, yes, you've got the Baron, but you can't really fight into the Elder, and there's 2 minutes on that buff.
Yeah, they should just be able to get both of these inhibitors, and then honestly, I think you just reset and look to try and play through this bottom side as BDS. Oh, this next wave is coming in. They want to play on these waves, but I think it does get a little precarious. You still have the Elder Dragon, but trying to get these waves to the tower is so difficult against Caps and these barred up minions.
It's really hard to get in range as well, because Hans Sama continually is just poking with these mystic shots. No wave in the top lane. You can see the super minions crashing where the top tier 1s used to be, so a long way away for BDS. They are playing off these waves. A minute 25 on the Elder means they'll have 2.5, 2 more, maybe 3 waves, depending on when the waves come in. BDS trying to catch 2 waves at once does mean the top wave will push in. It's Hans Sama! It's caught out with the mid-recurrence lightning. Parus getting in there as well. The Call of the Forge God is enough to kill off Hans Sama. SkewMond dives into the back line, but the Elder engage from BDS! It's bloody brilliant! They find everyone in that storm! The storm to end all storms! The ending of Arcane lives up to its name. Caps trying to hit the severing bolts. They have no minions now, BDS. The super minions pushing in. Nuke is low, but heals up through that Chem Soul. Caps here to defend. Can he do it into Parus, Nuke, and Irrelevant? Parus, flash coming back off cooldown. The heal about to come back up as well. Caps dodges to the side, but he's brittle, he's fragile. Where were you with BDS? BG2! Domination from BDS!
I cannot believe what I just witnessed. You have a literal god built for engages. You have the